All right, guys, and welcome back to the Impact Defense Podcast.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
What are you doing, Ree?
It's 4th of July. It's time to celebrate freedom and independence and fireworks.
Okay, apparently Kylie is very excited about the 4th of July.
Oh, you know it.
So it is the 4th of July. We did think we wanted to do something a little bit different than normal today. So we are going to just we're going to have a conversation about several things because, to be completely honest with you, I did something I haven't really done a whole lot of, and looking at some of the podcast analytics and stuff like that. And I thought we'd talk a little bit about that. But yes, we are going to talk about also a little bit of like America kind of stuff.
Freedom.
And
independence.
Yeah, we'll look at all that kind of stuff too. But I think first off, I think we have you have a story for the podcast, right?
Yes, our news story for today. This is Jada with your Impact Defense News. For today's story, we have a man named Sam who had just gotten some new land. Sam and his family were working super hard to build a life for themselves, but there was a problem. A huge group of toxic extended family members, led by his cousin George, decided that Sam's family owed them money and took way too much. When Sam expressed concerns like, "We're struggling to feed our family," they were told they didn't have a say in the matter. Obviously, tensions rose, and then George and the others sent some of their toughest members to intimidate and keep Sam's family in line. They got into a bit of a fight, and 5 people from Sam's family actually died. You'd think that they would lighten up a little bit, but no, they actually tightened the leash even more and tried to get even more out of Sam by forcing Sam and his family to buy things. Sam got super mad because George was taking a lot of their money and treating them terribly. And so some of Sam's family disguised themselves and destroyed a whole bunch of stuff that George was going to force them to buy. Anyway, Sam's family got even more organized and banded together and ended up having a lot of fights with their overseas cousins, and tons of people died on both sides. It was crazy, but in the end, the extended family decided it wasn't worth it since they were losing and gave up. After that, Sam officially declared himself and his family free of their toxic cousins and disowned them completely, and they celebrate it to this day.
All right, so if you did not get that story, I think you need to go back and read a little bit of history.
Good thing.
If you still don't know who I'm talking about when I said his cousin George, we have some problems.
Cousin George and Uncle Sam. All right. That was very good. All right, so something that I have heard a lot of times when people are talking about doing podcasts and stuff like this is that, talking about analytics, pay attention to your analytics, do all this stuff. I've not been like super awesome at paying attention to all of our analytics and stuff like that, but I did kind of take a look over, and like 81% of our listeners are from America, which that's not really shock. I mean, we're a self-defense podcast. We are talking about, self-defense related things, usually in America. So that means that we do have 19% of our listeners are from overseas. And take a guess as to what our second most listened to country is. Don't look at the computer screen. Did you see it? Oh, okay. So take a guess as to what our second most listened. What? Second? How would that be?
Would it be our cousin George?
No.
No.
No. No cousins. Kylie, you got a guess?
Philippines?
No. We do have listeners in the Philippines, but it's in Italy.
Italy.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow. Now, when you break down, let's look at the America thing for a moment. So I think I counted, I don't remember how many now, but I counted it out, and we have listeners in like, it was 40 some different countries total, and stuff like that. But anyway, I was looking at our states. Guess what our most popular state is?
California.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. We're based in North Carolina, Kylie. Yeah. She forgets where we are. So anyway, 16, but only 16% of our listeners are in North Carolina. So we actually have because you were around when I talked. So our second most popular state is, she's looking at me.
California.
Yeah, you just
Okay.
said it.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
And that one
That one surprised me.
that one shocked me because it's on completely on the other side of the country and everything. I don't know. Maybe I have no idea. But anyway, yeah, our most second listened to state is California and New York and all this. I'm not going to go through these things in order. But what I did notice is that we have listeners in or have been listened to in every single state but one.
What state hates us?
You need to be closer to your mic.
What state hates us and why?
I don't know why, but we have never had a single listener from South Dakota.
Oh, well, that's not highly populated, is it?
Probably not, but I mean, we've had listeners in
Do you guys
Alaska.
just not listen to podcasts, or do you just have poor taste?
We have listeners in Alaska and Hawaii and everything.
Maybe they're just
but
not,
not
worried
South
about.
Dakota.
I don't think it's very populated, so maybe they're just a little bit spread out, so they're not all that worried about other people.
I guess that's possible. But you know, you have cousins.
What large predators are in South Dakota?
Several.
Oh, we don't cover defense against large predators.
No, we do
just
not.
people, so
We had that
maybe-
one. We had that one, and I tried to, and y'all shut me down.
Oh.
Okay. So anyway,
I'd say if you're listening and you're from South Dakota, listen to the podcast, but that wouldn't exactly work.
yeah. So here's my question.
If you have friends in South
That-
Dakota,
that's
get
it.
them to listen to the podcast so that we can say we've been listened to in all 50 states.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Please, somebody call somebody in South Dakota. Somebody send this to somebody in South Dakota. I don't know. I'm kind of moderately tempted to launch a Facebook campaign just in South Dakota, just so we can get a listen. I don't know. But I would like to say, hey, our podcast has been listened to in all 50 states.
You know what? I don't think I've ever met anyone in South Dakota, and I've never been to South Dakota.
People
are we
are in
sure?
South Dakota.
Are we sure that South Dakota exists?
Yeah, I'm
Are
pretty
you
sure.
absolutely sure?
So, yeah, if you know somebody in South Dakota, how about said, hey, listen to at least one episode of this awesome podcast on self-defense, just so they can say, if nothing else, just out of the kindness of your heart, so they can say that they have been listened to in all 50 states. That would be like totally awesome, and I would really appreciate that. But now on to other things. We're talking about, America, and I understand that basically everyone feels like, well, not everyone, but there's a lot of people out there that feel like, well, their country that they live in is the best. Okay. But I was looking up a few things.
And we
And-
know from living in America that they're not.
It's time for an ad. And in honor of the,
Just because we live in a free country it doesn't mean that we live free. So we're just going to
we got to pay the bills. My
Yeah.
bad, guys. Here we go.
faith,
Freedom.
Cars.
martial arts.
Coffee. So guess what? Here is our ad. Go visit faithandfreedom.clothing. We've done our ads like this before.
They've got some cool stuff. And you know what? The 4th of July is, today. So do they have a special for the 4th of July?
No, but they do
On it?
have the whole like Impact Defense coupon code now. Again,
Okay, so you
So-
know what? Go and celebrate your freedom today by buying yourself a freedom shirt.
yeah, there's the freedom shirts. There's all kinds of other things too, some fun stuff. So yeah, get over there and use that coupon code Impact Defense. Get you 10% off.
Our new editor is going to think, what the heck am I trying to edit?
Yeah. So awesome thing. We have a new editor for the podcast. So hopefully the content and the all of this the professionalism of our podcast should be jumping up even more. We talked about just a few episodes back how like, hey, look, we got this entire setup. Well, now we have a professional editor and person that works with the
Thank you.
yes, because
We know you're listening right now because you have to edit it. So
that's true.
thank you.
So we want to thank you live on the podcast. So
Yes, and welcome.
yes,
Welcome.
yes. All
You're
right.
free to leave that part in too.
Absolutely. Okay. So now what I did was I was looking, I was like, what is the freest country in the world? Okay. So what would you say is the freest country in the world?
Okay, see, I want to say America, but I actually did not do much geography or study of other countries. So I can't actually fully attest to whether America is the freest country because I have a severe knowledge gap there. And I'm biased because I live here.
No, that's true. Okay.
Which, to be fair, I think plenty of people are biased against their own country.
They're biased one way or another, or biased for or against or whatever, but everybody has some type of bias here. So actually, according to the Human Freedom Index, which I didn't know existed until yesterday when I was doing all of the
Human Freedom Index?
yes.
Guys, did you know about this?
So anyway, according to the Human Freedom Index, they said they present a broad measure of personal, civil, and economic freedom around the world when they take into account these things. Okay, so the freest country in the world. Number one, I'm not going to go through all of these because it's a very, very long list. 152 on the list. So we're definitely not going to go through all of these. I'm not even going to go through the entire top 10. I'm just going to, or entire top 20 or anything like that.
I can't even name over 100 countries, so.
Ouch. I don't know if I could either. If I just sat down with nothing. I mean, most
Is
of
the
them are
rest
like,
of the world as disconnected as we are?
a lot of people say that's what's wrong with America, but we're not going to talk about that right now. All right. So number one, the freest country in the world, according to the Human Freedom Index. And if you look, it depends on who you look at. I tried to find one that did not have a tremendous bias one way or another and all this other stuff. And that's really hard to find. So anyway, according to this, the freest country in the world is Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, yeah. They're a country off of China, which I didn't think anything that close to China would be that free. And
Are
that's
there
just-
any statistic as to why it's considered?
No. So,
Interesting.
yeah, it is interesting. So
I'm
anyway,
curious
Hong
as
Kong,
to-
Switzerland, I can see that one. Finland.
I'd be tempted, like, if I weren't going to live in America, I'd be tempted to live in Switzerland.
I just watched a whole video on Switzerland, and after that, I would be too.
It looks lovely.
But I'm happy where I am.
Yes, we love
So
America.
I'm not going anywhere. Anyway, Hong Kong, Switzerland, Finland, Denmark, and then New Zealand is number 5. Okay, so where do you think America is on this list? Stop looking at the computer screen. Jada's trying to
Can't
cheat.
read it from here. It's turned.
your vision's a whole lot better than
Well,
mine.
I could read it from here if it weren't sideways.
Oh, okay. I thought because you've read stuff that far away before. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I'm-
where do you think America falls on the list?
I don't know that I want to know.
Callie, take a guess. It's between 1 and 152. Where do you think America falls on the list of the most free nations in the world?
In the 50s?
In the 50? Whoa! No, I wouldn't have. I would have guessed.
7?
I would have guessed top 5 before looking at this list. I would have guessed top 5. Okay, actually, according to this list, it is
Number 20.
20.
Hey, I guessed it before you said it. Hey,
So-
you know what? Out of 150 some, 20 isn't as bad as it could be.
You want to know? Yeah, like you said, no big deal. I just communicate for a living. Do you want to know what the least free nation, what the last place was?
What is it?
What is it?
Iran. So
Yeah,
Iran would be
that
the
makes
least
sense.
free country in the world, according to this list. Anyway, that
Well,
had me
there's
think
an
about.
entire half of their population that doesn't really have rights. So
Yeah, So we are a self-defense business. We are a self-defense podcast. Everything we do revolves around protecting yourselves. And I'm looking at some of these people on the list. Number 9 is the United Kingdom. And I apologize for anybody over in the UK who might not like some of this. But when I was thinking about, hey, I'm pretty sure like UK, it is very, very hard to defend yourself legally. Oh, they are number 3. So UK is our 3rd. That's why I wanted to go back real quick and look and say like, oh, where does UK fall on the list? Number 3. For our listeners. Yes, thank you. Sorry. Anyway, they're number 9 freest country in the world, but I know they're very harsh on self-defense.
Yes,
you can't carry anything for self-defense. Canada, pretty much most places in Canada, you can't carry legally anything on you in self-defense. And I was actually talking to somebody in Canada about self-defense and some of the law surrounding self-defense. And they were telling me that basically if you start using, I think it was Canada, if you use your keys as a force multiplier, you are now carrying a weapon and you can get charged for, even if, you're in a self-defense situation, completely, totally legal self-defense situation. So basically you are down to using your hands and feet, and that's it. So I don't.
That's ridiculous.
Maybe I am biased because of what I do, but I look at that and go, that don't sound like freedom to me. That doesn't sound like freedom to me. I can't speak this morning. Apparently there is just not enough coffee in the 2 times the caffeine coffee I was having. So anyway, so then I looked at when it comes to self-defense itself, what is the most free country in the world? What's the country with the best self-defense laws? What do you think?
America?
Yep, America tops that list. So that was the list that we topped. We are the country with the best self-defense laws in the world. Well,
I mean, part of our big, words is you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life comes first.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. So I started let's look at some statistics, which kind of got into a little bit of statistics on like the crime rates, and some statistics that kind of come out about crime rates kind of shocked me a little bit. So in America, there is about 466 violent crimes per 100,000 Americans in a year. Okay.
Whoa.
Now, everybody wants to talk about how like other countries, like America's so violent, and we have all these, horrible, violent things that happen all the time. And by comparison, in the UK, a country where gun laws are very strict, where self-defense laws are very strict, and they're supposed to be really strict on, all of this kind of stuff. The number of violent crimes per 100,000 citizens is actually 2,034. That's over 4 times as many.
If only someone could have predicted that taking away someone's ability to defend themselves would raise crime rates.
I know.
It could have saved them a lot of problems.
I know. Now, this is from like a lot of different, Statista, Gallup, all these different statistic houses or whatever you want to call them. 42 of American households have at least one gun for self-protection and stuff like that. 45% of American males own a gun, and 36% of those 65 or older own and use a firearm. So, it's a defensive. Oh, wait. Here we go. I'd been doing this research for a couple of days, kind of getting all this stuff together for this podcast. And I just realized that there was one, and I cannot throw out the numbers, and it really upsets me that I cannot throw out the numbers. But basically, it was stating that how many actual crimes have been stopped, active shooter situations that have been stopped, and like all these other things. How many of these things have been stopped by people because they had a gun and they have the freedom to carry a gun there? and they had stopped a shooting, or they had stopped some type of crime, or they had stopped an attack. But anyway, and I just realized that I did not have that one here in time for the podcast. 63% of gun owners say that they own a gun for defensive reasons, to have as a defensive tool. So, anyway, so we may not top the list according to whoever, and I'm sure there are lists out there that says America is the freest country in the world. We may not top that list. We may be at number 20 on that one. I don't really know. I don't know that I would completely agree with that. But again, I'm biased because I was born and raised here. And like you said, we're kind of isolated thinking at times. And, I admit that. It is kind of a thing. We're a little bit isolated in our thinking at times. But I also have this hard time looking at and thinking about, if I can't defend myself, then I don't know how free I am. Because just the ability to defend yourself, the ability, the freedom, the legal ability to defend yourself. Without that, we saw by that one statistic that in a lot of cases, actually violent crime goes up when people can't actually defend themselves, because you realize it's just like, and we're going to have actually an entire podcast on it. When you're talking about active shooters and stuff like that, 82% of all active shootings happen inside of a gun-free zone. When people know, when cowards with a gun knows that they're not going to get shot back at, that's where they're going to go. Because criminals don't care about the law. They want the easiest route possible and everything that they do.
That's what makes them outlaws and criminals.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway.
Go figure.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just the stuff that's always seemed so apparent to me. Even when... Now, look, I'm in a different generation than you. I grew up with people my age who leaned towards the side of guns should be taken away, like just gone, like they should get gone. But it's always seemed obvious to me that wouldn't make a difference.
We were talking about
bad guys don't care if they're not allowed to have something.
Yeah. Oh, but let's make drugs illegal. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. Fun fact. They are.
Wait. Just make murder illegal and nobody will murder anyone. See, none of this actually makes any sense. Anyway, we're not here to actually do a rant, and definitely not here to do a rant on policy. That's not really the purpose of this podcast. Really, this episode was to say, I guess, happy birthday, America.
Woo!
We love you.
And Kylie looks forward to going seeing fireworks
Do we have
tonight.
applause? Happy birthday, America. Yay for you.
Woo.
We love you. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. So
We're not going to sing the national anthem or anything, but if you want to hear it just to celebrate, just, YouTube it. We're not going to put you through that.
Okay. So anyway, talking about self-defense law and stuff like that, I do want to mention something. I will put a link in the description for this. There is The Law of Self-Defense by Andrew Branca. Okay. It is a book. You can actually get that book for free by going to his website. We'll have a link in the description. It basically, we're not earning anything off of this because you're getting a free book, but I think it's pretty cool because he does see that we sent them over there to you. So, use that link in the description. So you can go over there and all you have to do is pay for shipping and handling. I have been teaching concealed carry concealed carry classes for a while. And I have never, ever seen self-defense and the right to self-defense kind of law presented in a better way than what this book has done. It is great. So I highly suggest that you go over there and get that. That is for the 81% of our listeners, okay? Because he's only sending this out for free to America. Blah blah blah.
To the Americans.
It's only sent out for free in the United States. If you're outside of the United States and you want to get that, you can. It just has to be purchased. So
It costs money.
yeah, well, it still costs money to have it shipped here in America. It's just cheaper.
I know.
And straight up, I mean, we sell the book in the pro shop. So, I mean, you know, if you're local and you want to support us, you can come by and just buy the book. And that just started fairly recently because the book is so good that I was like, I'm going to get some. I sell it cheaper than you could buy it on Amazon for. But, yeah. Anyway, check that out, lawofselfdefense.com. But actually, just do me a favor and go through the link in our description because that helps. I mean, it doesn't really, it helps them to see that we sent them kind of thing. So anyway, check that out. Yeah, this has been a little bit of a off topic kind of. I thought something was on the computer screen here.
There
And
was some
actually
cool
was just something that was talking.
statistics in there too.
There really was.
So, like, I guess to summarize the whole thing, we got Uncle Sam won his freedom, and most of our listeners are indeed from America. But
That
our
is true.
second most listened to country is Italy. Thank you, Italy.
Yep.
And then Hong Kong is sort of the most free country in the world.
Yeah. Now I don't know a whole lot about as far as like Hong Kong, other than the fact that I've always liked their films. But that's aside from the point. I haven't in a while, but I was hugely fan of Hong Kong films. I watch those all the time.
What we've all boiled down to is no one can beat America on their self-defense laws.
Yep. Or at least not that we've seen, and at least not the statistics and stuff that I have looked up.
Yeah, I've never exactly been to Hong Kong or New Zealand. So.
No, neither have I.
Although
Neither
I
have I.
think what I heard was that if you agreed to become a Kiwi farmer, they give you land for free in New Zealand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if anyone's ever just interested in Kiwi farming.
Well, you know, in our last podcast, we were just talking to someone from New Zealand. So maybe you should just ask Jared because we're going to, speaking of him, we'll be talking to him again soon. So maybe the next time you should ask him, say, hey, can I come to New Zealand and get free land if I'm a Kiwi farmer?
I think I can just Google it.
You could, but we have somebody on the inside. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but we've already said that America isolates, and that would involve conversing with people from other countries. I'm just messing.
All right. Anyway.
I hope you understand that this whole podcast is good-natured, and
Oh yeah.
and fun. So don't take anything too seriously.
No.
But if you get offended, it's your fault.
If you guys are enjoying this podcast, go ahead and go over to Apple Podcast, rate us, and write a review. That way we can start reading your review on the podcast.
There we go. All right. So guys, thank you so very much for listening to our America podcast episode of the podcast. And happy July 4th. I hope you guys, if you're hearing this on July 4th, this is, if you're listening to this on July 4th, then have fun this evening.
Watch fireworks.
Watch some fireworks. Be safe. Yeah, and just have some fun.
Thank God for America.
America.
And we will see you next week. Or next week, I think we're going to be actually talking about the active shooter issue that seems to be facing our nation.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I was sitting there. That was kind of in the plan. And then I looked and was like, that's going to be July 4th. I don't want to do that on July 4th. So let's do that one after July 4th. Let's just have a little fun on July 4th and then kind of.
Just celebrate freedom.
Yeah. And then next week, we're going to talk about like active shooter and how to deal with an active shooter. We're going to talk about how, we talked to Joshua Sullivan about the Alive program. So he sent us that. So we're going through that and we wanted to, we like it, but we'll talk about that and we'll talk about some other stuff. And then also just like what we can do to kind of help the situation as much as possible. All right, guys. So thank you very much. And we will see you in the next episode.
See ya.
Bye.